Today's episode of the Bleav in Steelers show is brought to you by betonline.ag. Week 2 of the 2022 NFL season is here. If you want to place a bet on any of the NFL action, betonline.ag is the place to do it.
365, 24/7, whatever bet, whatever sport, just make sure y'all go to betonline.ag.
Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Use our promo code Bleav50, that's BLEAV50, to receive that 50% welcome bonus. Again, that's on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, cue the music. It's time to start the show. Welcome to the Bleav in Steelers show on the Bleav Network. I'm your host, Mark Bergin, joined as always by my guy, two-time Super Bowl champion and 12-year veteran of the Pittsburgh Steelers, number 24, Ike Taylor, IT. I am happy to see your face this morning. Our Steelers are 1-0. We're headed into week 2. Got some injury news, but all in all, knocking off the team that represented the AFC in the Super Bowl a year ago in week 1. I've got a smile on my face this morning. Things are good in the city of Pittsburgh.
That's exactly how you want to start off. You got a new quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky. You go into a hostile environment. We've been talking about all the money that's been spent for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's been on the defensive side. And guess what the defense do? The defense have 4 interceptions, more than 3 sacks, a few forced fumbles, and close to 7 sacks. So side of the ball that has all the money.
I was having a little bit of signal issues, but yes, on the defensive side of the ball, and found out that just this morning, Minkah Fitzpatrick named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. He was everywhere on Sunday. A career high, tied at 14 tackles. He had the pick 6 to open the game and the blocked PAT, which I broke down on Taylor Talk, explaining how that play happened, sneaking in on the inside. And for whatever reason, Ike, the Bengals tight end decided to block out instead of block down. The fastest way from point A to point B is a straight line. Minkah Fitzpatrick helping the Steelers stave off what would have been an absolutely brutal defeat, forcing overtime. And we found out this morning he's named AFC Defensive Player of the Week. No surprise there, and no surprise, at least at one point, he was the NFL's highest paid safety.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man, 14 tackles, pick 6, and a blocked field goal to help your team out. Not only to help your team out, but at the same time, Mark, to not go and go into that hostile environment and lose the ball game. So, yeah, when he gets paid, that's why he gets paid when he gets paid, because Minkah is that kind of football player. He's not a star. He's a superstar in the league. And I've just had the opportunity during training camp to talk there around him. And I keep saying, man, Coach Tomlin hit it on the head, Mark. Like I've had and I see these conversations and I've seen guys do this before. Not saying he's Troy Polamalu at all, because Troy just is on a totally different planet, but he got some characteristic. He has that it factor. He knows where the ball is going to go. He has that third hour, that spider sense, and he uses it well, Mark.
What I noticed too, Ike, and I always try not to draw too many conclusions from a one-game sample size, but the front 7 in the improvement there allows Minkah to be much more of a ball hawk. It allows him to be much more opportunistic and play more of that center fielder role as a free safety versus having to always rely on Minkah to make tackles. And what I mean by that is this was a player that had 120 tackles a season ago, and he was not an all-pro in 2021 as he was in the 2019 and 2020 season. Why is that? A season ago, when the Steelers ranked dead last in the NFL in rushing yards allowed, running backs, receivers were getting to the second and third levels of the defense untouched, to where they were relying on Minkah to almost play almost more of like a linebacker style at the safety position. Whereas now, when the front seven is stout, he can go back, read a quarterback's eyes, and play with the instinct that he's able to play at. And you can tell some of it's instinct. I'm sure a lot of it is watching film. But what I noticed in game one, getting 7 sacks on Joe Burrow, it's the 7 sacks I'm thrilled about, Ike, but it allows Minkah to be all that much more opportunistic on the back end of the defense, which he really couldn't do a year ago because the front seven wasn't up to snuff. And at least through one game, that's what I saw with this Steelers defense.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that too much. I think you hit it on the head. It's just one game, but they showed a lot in one game. By the fourth game, we'll determine exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is. That's just how it goes. You got to give these offensive coordinators between 3 to 4 weeks so they can figure out or try to stop or try to manage on how Pittsburgh is getting to the quarterback. But you got to give a big shout out to Alex Smith. The young man had three sacks in the game. He leads the league right now, or tied for leading the league in sacks. He wound up having 3. But, man, it's just hard to stop Cam. I think between Cam and TJ, we're going to talk about TJ later on in our show, Mark, but between that defensive tackle / DN and the outside linebacker combination, I don't think there's any other better than Cam and TJ. When you got them two not only sitting on the same side, but as well as that defensive line, that helps. Then you bring in Miles Jack. Miles Jack had a hell of a game, had a good game. So he's like the quarterback on the field. You acquire him from the free agency, and now that allows Minkah to be Minkah. So we all watch tape, but the guys who really trust their instincts on the field when it comes Sunday, them the guys who are Hall of Famers. That's exactly what Minkah is doing. And he's been doing that for the past 3 years since he stepped foot in the 4-1-2. And that's Pittsburgh area coach. So, when Minkah sees something, he go get it. A lot of people, when they see something, they hesitate, or they'll just be there just to make a play or the tackle. Minkah see something, miss a turnover. Or Troy saw something, it was a turnover. Uncle Prime, Deion Sanders, he saw something, it was a turnover. And that's how them guys are. Because by the end of the day, Mark, we all watch tape. But it's just instinctively, do you trust, do you care if you're not going to make that play or not? And those guys who have them kind of instincts, and Minkah I'm talking about, they don't care about getting beat because they know 9 times out of 10, they're going to make that play. And that one time they get beat, they'll make up for it 7 more times.
I love that, Ike. And let's just move to TJ Watt's injury. He's going to be out at least 6 weeks. Pectoral injury, will not require surgery. And you mentioned Alex Highsmith, 3 sacks out of the 7 total of Joe Burrow. That was one of the keys I said going into the game is they're going to have to get after Burrow. And they did that, forcing 4 interceptions, 5 turnovers overall. Now, this is where you've got Malik Reed and Jameer Jones filling in for TJ Watt. I thought Alex Highsmith did a great job in one-on-one scenarios because of the attention that Watt is going to create lined up over at opposing teams' right tackles. He's going to command a lot of attention as the NFL's reigning defensive player of the year. And Watt, before he left the game, was all over the place, absolutely making life a living hell for Joe Burrow on Sunday. But now the Steelers, at least the next several weeks, are going to be without him. So to me, it's incumbent upon, the other players who are going to be filling in for Watt, but then really everyone else on the defensive front and really the front 7, they're really, really going to have to step up without Watt on the field.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, to get to our point against TJ Watt, 6 weeks is perfect. You rather him out 6 weeks to get the young man back than have him out for the rest of the year. The former defensive player of the year in TJ Watt, so say. But it's just when TJ is on the field, it's just you always got a chance because he's always going to make a play. And I tell people that interception that he caught against Joe Burrow, it was nothing easy about that interception, Mark. I mean, the ball, you got to look at the ball like that ball is coming out of jug. So when you see these wide receivers and they own jug machines and they get real close to these jug machines, that's exactly what happened to TJ Watt. That ball came out of the jug, and for him to come down with that football, that's letting you know how special of a guy he is. But we all know from the past 3 years, TJ Watt just been a special player. So it's good news for him, not only for him, but for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just saying 6 weeks says a whole lot, but somebody's going to step up, and I think Coach T is going to figure out the matchups when it comes down to defensive lineman. He want Del High. He want to use Alec Highsmith. If you want to use Devin Bush coming off the edge or so we shall see. So I know Coach T, he gets very creative, and this is what he lives for. He loves adversity because he loves the challenge. So we shall see, but that's good news for Pittsburgh and TJ Watt. He's not out for the season.
Amen, Ike. I'll take Watt for however long we could get him versus say he's gone for the full season. And you mentioned the jugs machine and the incredible catch. How about the play before where have we checked on Joe Mixon? Does he still have his head? Because he was tackling Joe Mixon like before he even had the football. I was amazed he even hung on to the ball. And it was back-to-back plays with TJ Watt. It was like, oh, man.
Forced fumbles, sacks, interceptions, quarterback hits. Like, by the end of the day, he just lived in the backfield. It's hard to substitute a guy like that. That's why it's going to take a few guys. But you got to give a big shout-out to the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary as well. Them boys got their hands on a lot of interceptions, so that was good news too.
You mentioned Watt, Ike, and one thing that you said really stuck out to me is potentially Devin Bush coming off the edge. I think a lot more stunts. You can get a little bit more creative because whether it's Malik Reed, Jameer Jones, whoever ends up filling for Watt, that player is not going to be TJ Watt because everyone points to with Watt, he tied Michael Strahan's single season sack record. Remember, he also led the NFL on tackles for a loss a season ago. So TJ Watt, not just a pass rusher, talking about being a disruptive player wherever he is at on the field. And look, it'd be hard for any team to replace the reigning defensive player of the year with Watt. And so to me, it's not just on whether it's Malik Reed, Jameer Jones, it's incumbent upon those other players, the Cam Haywards of the world, Tyson Alualu, Alex Highsmith, those other players to take it on themselves to say, you know what, Watt's out. Now's my time to shine and showcase what I can do, because it's not just going to be one player who replaces the level of production that Watt brings to the table off the edge.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be an overall group effort.
Absolutely, Ike. And this was a defense, 7 sacks, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. We talk about how high flying that Bengals offense was. And if we can get that kind of defensive performance, I don't expect that many turnovers week after week, but the fact that the Steelers only won by 3 points was a tad concerning to me because I don't think the offense played particularly well at all. But Najee Harris is expected to play against the New England Patriots. That is good news, Ike, because I argued this Monday's reaction show when I was doing the solo pod. I think that the Steelers could least afford to lose Najee Harris compared to Watt. Obviously, you want both players, but just a player of Najee's caliber. I liked what I saw from Jaylen Warren filling in when Harris left the game, and I thought he put several Bengals players on their back, but I don't want to just put too much on an undrafted rookie right away in Jaylen Warren. And the fact that the Steelers, it appears that they will have Najee Harris against the Patriots certainly is good news, because coming out of Sunday's game, Mike, but the injuries with Harris and Watt, it seemed to be doom and gloom. And it's like, wow, we just beat the team that was in the Super Bowl for the AFC, but we might have lost our 2 best players for the season. And now we know that not to be the case.
Yeah, I like Jaylen. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on him. That takes the pressure off of Najee, him on his reps carries. So, yeah, down to Sunday, but at the same time, I'm going to go out and let Jaylen, hey, get ready, because this game might be your game where you need to carry the load. So, and I think Jay is also ready for it as well. I think he showed a lot during the training camp. I think he showed he's willing and able. All the coaches wanted to see, could he pick up the blitz? And he showed that a few times. I didn't see him on TV. He been making highlights on these shows now just off of picking up the blitz and him pancaking a few people trying to come in and run up on it in training camp. I thought he would be in this position, and he is in this position. He's the second running back, and he's just proven, rep after rep. So, yeah, the more reps he get, the more you don't have to run Najee, depending on how Najee feels. I'm sure Najee going to want to get all the reps he can, but the more reps Najee doesn't need to have, the better off he would be later on down the line. The more reps Jalen gets, the better off he would be to help the team as a backup.
I'm with you there, Ike, but here's where I push back. 75 yards rushing, it's not good enough. It's just point blank period that needs to improve. And then you get 5 turnovers and you win the turnover margin 5-0. You only win by 3 points. And the Steelers got dominated in time of possession, 43 minutes to 26 minutes. And then down the stretch, when the Steelers needed to try to run clock, they couldn't do that because they couldn't effectively run the ball. So this isn't just only on the running backs, it's on the offense overall. And it's just something where, and I've said this before, Ike, and this is kind of where I'm at, is week 1, I don't expect things to be perfect. This is a very young offense. It's a very, very young offense. I mean, when you talk about the skill position players, I always point to Deontay Johnson's like your elder statesman, and he's 25 years old. But as the season progresses along, say midway through the season, 3/4 of the way through the season, late in the season, you need to have more offensive production because you're not going to win the turnover battle 5-0 in every single game. So I just want to see some improvement. And look, I know it's old school. I know everyone loves passing in the modern NFL, but 75 yards rushing, and really it was to control the clock, control the game, and give the defense a break. It's just something I want to see in weeks moving forward.
Yeah, it'll happen. They're still trying to figure things out on the offensive line side. You got to understand, they just got some guys acquired too as well. So it's a lot of moving pieces that they just trying to reunite. So it's just a couple of weeks. I think it's just a couple of weeks with the offensive line. I think who will help is Najee. I think Jalen as well will help. So just give it 2 or 3 more weeks, man. I think the offense will be fine.
I want to see what Najee could do with a good line because I think he masked a lot of deficiencies from, you go back to last season. This is no knock on any of the players, but it's the reality of the situation. When you're starting 2 rookies and a second-year player, it's a young line. You still have a young line this year too. So what he can do once that line gets in sync, that's what excites me with Najee Harris. And I am with you too, Ike. Only 10 carries for Harris in the opener. Keep him fresh throughout the season. I know he had that Les Frank injury in the preseason, so you can bring him along. But just at the line of scrimmage, it was something I noticed with the Steelers' offensive line. I know Trubisky played good enough to win. I don't think he played great, but there was one play late in the game where he shakes off a pass rusher and finds Freiermuth down the field. And it's the type of play where the last 3 or 4 seasons, Steelers wouldn't have been able to make with Big Ben back there because of his limited mobility in the waning years of his career.
Yeah. I mean, Mitch going to be straight. He's still figuring things out as well, too. It's still a new offense to him as well. He just came, this year in the offseason. So he's getting his game reps right now. But it's his escapability. He displayed that not only in the preseason, but he did it in the regular season game as well. So that's a plus for the offense and the offensive line. For offensive line who's young and who's not really gelling right now, what could you have to help you? You can have a mobile quarterback, and that's exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers have right now.
And look, Ike, and our listeners and viewers will be able to tell you this. I feel like a broken record saying this. Preseason's a little bit different than the regular season. It's just a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's live ammo. During the preseason, you're just shooting blanks. But the regular season, when everybody getting them big paychecks every Tuesday or every other Tuesday, it's real live out there. It's live ammo, baby.
All right, Ike, Steelers, home opener, Acrisure Stadium, first regular season game, the newly named stadium against the Patriots. I'm going to go to keys to the game. And before we do, though, we're not sure about the health status of Mac Jones, his back injury. Again, we're recording this on Wednesday. It'll be out on Thursday morning. So we'll see if Mac Jones ends up playing in this one. And I almost want to put this out there for our other Bleav hosts who host the Patriots show. I'm curious if they're secretly happy that maybe Hoyer will be playing instead of Mac Jones, but we'll see who ends up lining up under center on Sunday for the Patriots.
Keys to the game on my part.
Yep.
That rushing defense for Pittsburgh Steelers against the rushing offense for the New England Patriots.
There you go. There you go. And the Patriots, their running back Ty Montgomery has a knee injury, so he got put on injured reserve on Tuesday. They'll be without him. Patriots still have Damian Harris. He led the Patriots, had 48 yards on 9 carries. Patriots offense that struggled in their opener against the Dolphins, putting up only 7 points. And so we'll see post-Tom Brady era, Mac Jones in year 2. Ike, I'm with you there. I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair between the Patriots and the Steelers because both teams have stout defenses. I think both of these teams have defenses that are far ahead their team's offenses.
Right. It's going to be a play away from a win. Whoever get to the play-action game first will win this ball game, let alone that Russian defense. But it's going to be a play-action pass game. Whoever hit the big one first is going to win this ball game, my personal opinion.
So keep an eye on whether Mac Jones plays. I'll go to my score prediction, and I'm not sure if I explained this well enough last week. Because you are now a scout for the Steelers, I would love to ask you what your score predictions are. Sometimes we might have to ask fake Ike Taylor what he thinks because psychic Ike Taylor and fake Ike Taylor, pretty insightful. And I can't tell you how many times you've correctly predicted the game. I've got the Steelers winning the home opener, 23, Patriots 17. Somehow the Patriots are a 1-point favorite in this game. This line makes absolutely no sense. Over under at 40.5 points. So points are going to be a premium, at least if you listen to what the odds makers are saying.
I'm going to piggyback off of you.
Okay. You picked you were giving me grief last week when I picked the Bengals over the Steelers, but I hope this doesn't start like I got to start out. I cannot start out 0-2 with my picks, Ike, because if that's the case, I'm just going to tell our listeners and viewers to fade whatever pick I pick. Just pick the opposite, and you'll be a winner on betonline.ag.
There you go.
Last season, if you faded my picks, you would have made some good coins. So take what I have to say with a grain of salt. Again, I've got Steelers 23, Patriots 17. Ike, several other week 2 games that are exciting. Tonight's matchup, the Thursday night matchup, Chargers at Chiefs, AFC West showdown. 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I don't know why we always doubt Patrick Mahomes. 5 touchdowns in the opener. Right. And when we had Lee Steinberg on, Patrick Mahomes' agent, several weeks back, I brought this up. The Tyreek Hill trade, I think, could be one of those trades where it's like, who won the trade? I think it could really benefit both teams. And at least through 1 week, it looks like the Chiefs did not miss a beat without Cheetah. There's no player like Cheetah, but 5 touchdowns for Mahomes. They were rolling on Sunday. I think the Chiefs and Bills looked most impressive in week 1. They're going to host the Chargers, Justin Herbert and company at home, divisional showdown. I think this is the best game of the weekend.
Without Cheetah, is forcing Patrick Mahomes to see the whole field. And Patrick Mahomes seeing the whole field is scary. Without Cheetah, is forcing Patrick Mahomes to take what the defense gives him. Without having Cheetah. So when you got a guy who can throw the way he throws, when you got a guy who got a running game, because now it looks like he has two pretty good running backs. When you got a guy who really got to scan the field now, and Patrick Mahomes, you see exactly what he's doing. Now it's just making, Coach Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy get more creative on finding ways to get guys the ball. So that's exactly what's going on. So we can say what we want to say about Patrick Mahomes and him losing Cheetah. I didn't think it was going to be an issue. Actually, I thought it just woke him up, to be honest with you. And this is exactly what's going on. And that's exactly what happened in the first game. He had 5 teddies. The young man had 5 teddies, and we have 5 teddies. You're seeing a lot. So Patrick Mahomes, I think, is going to be fine. I just think this kind of enhanced his IQ on not having Cheetah and getting spoiled by the big plays that he once was used coming from Cheetah.
Let me piggyback off that too, Ike. You mentioned scanning the whole field. Patrick Mahomes with time in the pocket, it's like the scariest thing in the NFL because he can just dissect the defense because of he can really make any throw. That, to me, to piggyback off your point to where he has to quarterback more. He can't just rely on dumping the ball to Tyreek Hill wherever he's at on the field. But it's Patrick Mahomes with time as well, where it's like, okay, yeah.
You take Cheetah out of the situation, Mark, which Patrick Mahomes once had. Now everybody's open. So all the receivers, all the other receivers feel like they have a chance. So everybody running routes to get open. When sometimes when the offense coordinator call the play, they already know where it probably is going to go. It's probably going to go to Cheetah. Now them boys running with their hell on fire. So everybody is looking to get open because they know Patrick Mahomes now is distributing the ball to whomever or whatever he see, depending on the coverages.
I'm curious to see how this game shakes out, Ike, because a year ago, the Chiefs kind of stumbled out of the gates and everyone was like, oh, the Super Bowl hangover, the loss from the Super Bowl. And then they figured things out late in the season, had a nice playoff run before getting knocked off by the Bengals. I think that if the Chiefs win this game and everyone's picking against them and it's the sexy thing to do to say, oh, I like the Chargers in the AFC West or the Raiders or the Broncos with Russell Wilson, this game to me is going to be a clear indicator because I will say this, in week 1, Chiefs playing the Arizona Cardinals, they didn't look good. But this to me, this divisional matchup is going to tell a lot. I'll take the Chiefs at home at Arrowhead, but I've got my popcorn ready. I've got a nice little food spread for Thursday night. I cannot wait to watch the Thursday night game.
I can't wait either, bro. For real. This is going to be a good one. There's 2 young studs, Justin Herbert, and we already know what Patrick Mahomes can do, but Justin Herbert didn't look bad at all either last week as well.
Yeah, and I think Herbert, top 3, probably top 5 quarterbacks, like he's up there. And so should be a good one. Ike, a few other games. Dolphins at Ravens, 2 1-0 teams. I want to see, again, another shot for Tua in this offense, see if he's legit. I thought they looked okay against the Patriots. I think they're a lot more talented of a team than the Patriots. But then the Ravens absolutely smoked the Jets in week 1. So 2 1-0 teams, AFC matchup. I can't wait to watch this one, too. This is one other game that stuck out, but it's like Tua versus Lamar. Lamar, I thought, looked good again, though. It's against the Jets, so it's like, who really knows? But I'm curious to see, like, which teams start out fast. So this one, it's like, who's going to be undefeated going after this game between the Dolphins and Ravens? It's kind of what I have my eye on.
Between Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, one of them going to win Offensive Player of the Year. I'm just going to let you know. That's just my personal opinion.
All right. Psychic Ike Taylor, we're marking this down September 14th, 2022, after week 1. If you can get good odds for either player, take either player. Ike's a psychic. I'm telling you, I've lost count of how many times you've correctly predicted this. Either Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. You heard it here first. Sorry, Ike, I didn't mean to steal your thunder, but it ticks something off in my brain whenever you predict something like this.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at Lamar like his contract year. Usually they talk about guys getting hurt. Lamar got hurt sitting in the pocket. And now when Lamar runs, he runs to either get out of bounds or he slide, one of the two. So that's an upgraded version. That's a more mature version when it comes down to running on Lamar. Then you have, and we talked about Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman was a rookie last year. He came from Minnesota. We talked about him, but he was hurt last year as well. Mm-hmm. So now he's coming around and he's being a stud. Then we can't forget about, Mark Andrews, the all-pro tight end that he has. And we still forgot Dobbins sitting in the back, who was questionable last week and didn't play, but they still wind up having a running back who handled his business. Then you have another young stud in Dunley, I think, receiver. He wound up having 2 tutties last week as well. So Lamar is starting to have weapons on the outside, especially when he wants to extend. And we can't forget about that no-look he threw. So he threw a no-look touchdown last week as well. So Lamar is going to be Lamar. I just like Lamar even better now that he's learning when he does run to either slide or get out of bounds.
Yeah, that's Devin Duvernay, receiver out of Texas, 3rd-round pick in the 2020 draft. Ike, and Bateman had a touchdown as well. Want to see him get the ball a little bit more to his receivers. I know Andrews is a favorite target of Jackson, but honestly, against the Jets, they didn't need to do much more, and it was a game where they were able to maintain control, and they made Joe Flacco throw the ball 59 times to try to win it. So Ravens were really in control this entire game. And so sometimes you just need to do what you need to do to win. And that's what the Ravens did in week 1 against the Jets. 2 more games I wanted to make mention of, Ike. Bucs at Saints, NFC South showdown. Again, 2 teams, 1-0. The Saints are a lot of kind of a dark horse pick in that division. And you've got Tom Brady, 45 years old, going up against the Saints. One pick I want to make, Ike, if you can get good odds at this, Jameis Winston, comeback player of the year. I'm telling you right now, if you can get good odds, put some money on it because he's got Michael Thomas. He's got Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave, the rookie receiver out of Ohio State. Saints got some weapons.
Yeah, they do. Can't forget about Taysom Hill as well and what that young man did. He had one drive, two plays, one drive. He did a wildcat one play. He wound up going for like 60-something yards. Then he wound up staying in, and he did another play and wound up scoring. So Taysom Hill, they figured out ways to use him as well. It's hard to play 11 on 11. See, when you just got a quarterback who just sit in the pocket, that's 10 on 11. So you can have an extra guy coverage. So now when you have a wildcat guy like Taysom Hill, it's 11 on 11. So now we got action. So, yeah, they got some guys. They got some ways. They got some packages to figure things out. But I did like Jameis. Jameis was very conscious of not throwing interceptions. And you could tell how he was sitting in the pocket and thinking about that. But, you know, it's just hard for me to bet against Tom Brady, Mark. For real, I'm just going to keep 100 with your Tom, you can see he's about to have the connection with Julio. And I remember when Coach Bruce Arians put Larry Fitzgerald in the slot and told him he could play 3-4 extra more years. Just believe him. It's looking the same thing as Julio with Tom Brady. So this is about to get scary. And Godwin, I think he wound up hurting his hamstring, but I think he's going to be okay, and that's going to be scary. So I'm telling you that playoff Lenny was playing like playoff Lenny the first game of the year. So we shall see, man. Tom is getting the ball out fast. He has a new slot target who he thinks has good camaraderie with. But I told people this, all you got to do is look at the sideline. I saw in the last preseason game, all Tom was talking to was Julio Jones the whole time. Throughout the whole conversation, football, Julio Jones, sitting on the sideline, on the bench, standing up, getting water. He was talking to Julio Jones. That triggered something in my head. Like, okay, so they're getting ready for this regular season because he's going to be looking for Julio. On the third downs, that's exactly who he's looking for, Julio. And that's exactly what happened when they played the Dallas Cowboys. On third downs, he was looking for Julio.
The three receivers they have when healthy, Evans, Godwin, Julio Jones. Good luck. Good luck to opposing defenses. And with Tom Brady with time as well, I want to see with the Buccaneers, was it that they looked good in week one against the Cowboys or the Cowboys down this season? Because everyone overreacts to week one. That's what I want to see with this matchup. Again, a divisional matchup is how do you look against other competition? Because it varies each year. Like, I don't want to go back to last year because last year was last year of which teams are good, which teams are not. Not sure about the Cowboys early on this season. Sunday Night Football. Go ahead,
Ike. What you saw, that was the Cowboys. But you can't discredit their defense. I think the Cowboys defense played well enough for the Cowboys. He just got it all figured out, man. The man, you can just see once he break the huddle and he look back and he see the coverage, he already know where he going. For real, he just need his receiver to catch the ball. So I saw when he broke the huddle. He broke the huddle. He saw the coverage. He already knew where he was going. He was like, "Oh, here comes another Super Bowl I be in." But this is just game number one. You could just tell in his body language, for real.
My Super Bowl pick, Bills over Bucs, at least through week one, looks pretty good right now. It looks pretty good. And I'm with you, though, with the Cowboys. Micah Parsons, he was someone that you were very high on coming out of the draft a few years back. He looks like a very, very special player.
He different. Then when you type it, you were like, bro, he good. Like, when you be asking, like, just talk about other players, like, oh, yeah, he's good, or, oh, yeah, he's a star. But Michael Parsons, he different. And that's exactly that you got to say it, score your eyes. He different. He different, Mark, for real.
Sunday Night Football, Bears at Packers. The reason why I mentioned this game, Ike, everyone's saying the Packers is Aaron Rodgers over the hill. Remember, a year ago, Packers got smoked in week one by the Saints. Want to see, was week one a fluke against the Minnesota Vikings? If the Bears, who somehow knocked off the 49ers in a monsoon at Soldier Field in Chicago, if they were to knock off the Packers on the road at Lambeau Field, then I could entertain those conversations about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers not being up to snuff. But after 1 week, we saw this a year ago. I do expect the Packers to take care of business at home against Chicago.
Nah, they should, but I'm going to go with the Bears. I saw with the Bears, like I was high on San Fran defense, very high on their defense. I know it's going to take some time with Trey and company and their new offense. I get that part, but the Bears defense, they didn't blink, and the Bears offense, when it was time for them to make plays, that's exactly what Justin Fields did. He made his plays. So, I can see the Bears walking into Green Bay and giving Green Bay the first time in a couple of years an 0-2 start.
My Chicago contingency, Ike, is doing cartwheels upon hearing that. We got 2 Monday night games as well, but we'll be back either Sunday or Monday after Steelers and Patriots. So Monday Night Football, you've got a twofer. I'm not sure why the NFL did this in week 2. I know usually they do this during the opening week of the season. I know that the Emmy Awards were on Monday night as well. But I saw Peyton and Eli are back too. I just can't believe we're already here. Football season is upon us, Ike. But if the Steelers start out 2-0, oh man, I was over the moon on Sunday, Ike. And our guy Ian Eagle is going to be on the call yet again for the Patriots and Steelers game. It was great to hear his voice. And like he said on Sunday, Bengals and Steelers, it was like, what is happening right now? It was really good to hear him on the call. We had him here on the Bleav in Steelers show a few weeks back.
Always a pleasure with Ion, man. You know, man. Big props to Ion.
IT, you're the absolute best. Appreciate the time this morning. And I want to thank you, the Bleav Network, our video producers over at Brinks TV, led by John Brinkus, Courtney Vargas, Herbert Diaz, producer Yancey, and we've got a new producer as well, Megan, behind the scenes, making us look good, running the show, making the Bleav in Steelers show what it is. Today's sponsor of the Bleav in Steelers show, betonline.ag. Take care of all of your NFL gambling needs. Ike, I think that's a show.
Big shout out to betonline.ag. You know, appreciate for sponsoring this show. Huge shout out to Brinks TV, always making Mark and I look good and professional. Got to give another shout out to Bleav in Podcast for giving Mark and I this opportunity. Make sure y'all give us a 5-piece. What I mean by a 5-piece is a 5-star. All we try to do is be insightful, very entertaining, and love to hear feedback from y'all from watching our show. Matter of fact, thanks for giving us feedback and thanks for tuning in to our show. All our viewers and subscribe, we gladly appreciate that. Got to give another shout out to my dog Mark, man. You're one of the best co-hosts a brother can ever have. So appreciate y'all. Appreciate everybody behind the scenes too, who make this work, who take their time out and listen to Mark and I try to talk football. I'm lying. We talk good football, but thank y'all.
For Ike Taylor, I'm Mark Bergin. Thanks for watching the Bleav in Steelers show. Enjoy the week 2 action. Until then, take care and so long, everybody.
Peace.